calling on you to launch a public inquiry in relation to Shane O'Farrell, who was killed on the 2nd of August 2011 in the most terrible of circumstances. And that family, since that terrible, terrible day, have sought justice and truth in relation to Shane's death. So I'm hoping that you will oblige that family in relation to seeking justice and truth.
Deputy, and I just want to assure you that I recognise the pain and the anguish that the O'Farrell family have been going through because of the tragic death of their son Shane, and I sincerely sympathise with them on their loss. As you will be aware, Deputy, a highly respected retired judge has been conducting a scoping exercise into the tragic circumstances surrounding Shane's death. The purpose of this exercise is to advise as to whether further action or further investigation or an inquiry beyond those already carried out is necessary, and if so, then obviously to advise on this form of such investigation or an inquiry and its terms of reference. So this is quite a large piece of work already underway. My department maintains in regular contact with the judge and has assured him that any assistance that he requires to complete the final stages of this report will be made available to him, and I do know he is at the final stages. I'm informed that he has sought comments on various sections of the draft report from the parties named in it, and he's confirmed that he's received responses from most of the relevant parties to date. Once this process is concluded, I understand that he should be in a position to finalise this. I understand and I appreciate that this is going on for longer than people would hope, but I think it's important here that the judge is allowed to do his work, and obviously that he's allowed to make those recommendations. Once I've received the final report, the Attorney-General will then bring advice to that, and it will be sought on publication and any other issues that might arise from the report itself. If I just could conclude maybe by restating in clear terms that we've never been opposed, and I'm not certainly opposed, and the Government isn't opposed to any further inquiry into the case if that's what's recommended. However, I think you'd understand, Deputy, that I don't want to preempt any view or any advice or any recommendation that the judge might consider appropriate in his final report, but I will of course respond to whatever it is in the report, and if that includes a further inquiry, then I will of course respond.
As I stated from the outset, it's 10 years, over 10 years, since Shane O'Farrell was killed, and the family have always sought that truth. And you don't need to be an legal expert, Minister, to concur that there was absolutely systematic failure in relation to Shane's death. And not only was it systematic failure on the day that he died, it was systematic failure before that. Now, again, you do not have to be a legal expert to look at the facts. And the facts is, Shane O'Farrell should have been alive today. We shouldn't have been speaking about him today. But there was a systematic failure in relation to that. Minister, I have to ask you a question, and a very sincere question. Judge Houghton has been doing a scoping exercise for the last 3.5 years. Now, what the hell is he scoping? Does he have a telescope to the universe? Because this thing is going on forever. It's absolutely gone out forever for this family. And is the scope... I mean, your predecessor, 7 months ago, Heather Humphrey, says that the scoping exercise will be delivered soon. Is it on your desk?
Thank you. It's not on my desk, no. What I will say is that the judge is independent in the work that he's doing. I think it's important that I don't comment on, or I don't predict, or I don't discuss what work he may or may not be doing. But what I will say is that any support, anything that is required by the judge and his team has been provided and is being provided to him. I know that there's regular contact with the O'Farrell family, and I think it's important that the last few responses, and I am assured that there are a few responses that are to be responded to, and once that is done, he will be able to produce this report. So I appreciate this is taking a lot longer than people would like. I would like to ensure that the work that is done is thorough, and I have absolutely no question that that is not the case. Whatever is presented to me, whatever recommendations come forward, I will absolutely take them on board, working with the Attorney-General, and we will respond to the O'Farrell family as quickly as we possibly can. Thank you.
Mr. You're the 5th Justice Minister since that fateful day on the 2nd of August. 5 Justice Ministers. since that terrible, terrible day for that family. And in the meantime, there has been an internal investigation in relation to what happened in the systematic failures in relation to an internal Garda inquiry. That has been subsequently squashed. So that throws up more questions than ever before in relation to the whole events, what happened to Shane's death. And many, many people, listening and watching even this segment here today, will be asking, what happened in them circumstances? Why, in that situation, did Shane O'Farrell was failed by the justice system? And only, Minister, and I'll say this very, very kind of, I say this in a very respectful manner, but only in public inquiry at this stage will give the truth and justice that that family is seeking.
As you've outlined, none of this is straightforward, and I suppose I don't pretend to know, I suppose, the length of time that they should take or needs to take, but I think it's important that we allow the judge to do the work that he feels necessary in this instance to be able to provide a very clear and a very direct and a very pointed response to the questions that have been asked and to the terms of reference that have been set in this instance. So I will continue to support the work that he is doing. As I said, he is engaging with the O'Farrell family to try and make sure that there is that constant contact and communication. I appreciate it's taking longer than they would like, but I am reassured that this is at the final stages and that obviously the report will be produced and presented to me as...
Do you have any indications when this report could be finished? Do you have any indications?
Again, once it is brought to me, I will obviously respond as quickly as I possibly can.